What the f?
If we ran Nintendo.
What is up, everybody, and welcome to episode 145 of If We Ran Nintendo. I am Bobby, the Nintendo Guru, joined by the greatest co-host in all the land, Mr. Sean Capri.
Bobby, we're here once again. It's Friday. We got two topics today, Bobby. We're going old school. This episode is brought to you by the amazing patrons at patreon.com/make us better, like Dante Bellini Jr.,
Good
Robert
Lord.
Bobby Miller, Nick Militia from Next Level Games, Dr. Doom.
Calm down, all right? Calm down. So,
Jams.
hey, Ben, man, how was your week?
I'm good. Look at you. I was going to go off on a bit of a riff and just
I don't
talk to
need
people
all
and you're just
that.
like, why don't you know what? I'd rather talk about nothing.
No. We don't need to give people credit that haven't done anything for us in like 6 months.
Let's just say, look. That's a good point.
I'm just kidding.
I'm just saying, man. I never forget. You know what I mean?
Okay. There's
We had
an elephant here.
We had Tammy.
You are not him. So just relax.
Who's the elephant?
Me.
Why are you an elephant?
Because I'm like a house man over
You
here.
are not a house. Well, you are wearing gray. And
is
Bobby
true.
never forgets. Is that what you're talking? Is that what the elephant?
That too. You look at my memory, my free flow Fridays.
You don't.
I
You gotta
dig
take it easy
deep
on those
into
free
the-
flow Fridays, man. I've been learning a lot about heart health these days. You gotta take it easy. You gotta just take care of yourself a little bit.
It's fine.
You're
It's
getting
okay.
a sweat on. Are you hydrating?
You're supposed to be getting sweat on.
That's true. Just be safe. You know, it's like
I'm fine.
you know when you get on a treadmill and it's like, have you talked to your doctor about this? Like, are you sure this is such a good idea?
I probably should talk to my doctor about it. Be like, should I be dancing
When
around
was
like
the last
an
time you
idiot?
went to your doctor?
2 years ago.
2 years? You haven't been to the doctor in
Yeah.
2 years?
Yeah.
Do you want to come up here and like borrow one of my doctors or something?
I have health care. I'm fine. I just
Go to your
I go with-
doctor.
no. What's the point?
You got to get that prostate tickled a little bit.
No, I'm not doing that.
Jason
It's
Lacey's
whatever.
getting it done.
Well, you know, he kind of swings that way anyway.
I
So
think
what's the difference?
Adam Leonard and Jason Lacey are getting their bifocals and their prostates tickled. Like it's old man club. This
Yeah,
is
well,
why
guess what?
we have to stop canceling podcasts. We got to have people stop quitting podcasts because this is about to get a very interesting time in all of our lives, Bobby.
No.
We're
Anyway,
getting old. We're gonna have to start getting some hormone treatments in
I
here.
refuse to
make
get
up-
old, bro. I refuse to get old.
You told me that the first time that we met.
I refuse.
That's
I
why
did it
you-
once
that's why we
in
do
my
all
life,
this.
and that was the biggest mistake in my life.
Getting old.
Then I got married, and that was the second mistake in my
Oh
life.
snap!
And
You hadn't made a mistake until then. Good for you. It's pretty good,
yeah,
man.
Yeah, man.
It's pretty
Yeah.
good.
So let's kick this episode off like we do each and every episode with our shout outs.
Geek outs, Bobby. It's time for our geek outs.
You know I got to geek out this week, but we're not going to talk about
What
it.
is
till
it?
Tomorrow.
Tell
my
me.
car, man.
Oh, your car. Oh, that's not a geek out. Do you even know what a geek out is? You've done this before, bro.
Geek out is excitement, man. When you freak out about stuff, when it gets you all excited. Have you not seen this car? The stuff that it can do? It's pretty high tech. This is something geeks geek out about.
It is amazing. It is
It's
amazing.
electric and gas.
I know, you basically
I get
have like a Power
133
Wheels.
miles to the gallon.
You take Power Wheels to work.
Yeah, dude, it's amazing. Hey, man, I don't care. You can make fun all you want.
I'm not making fun. I'm super jealous.
It's
I'm
so cheap.
Look, both my co-hosts on this show and on the Xbox Drive, Priuses.
Yo, man. But although
We're all Toyotas though. I got a Corolla, so
I
know what's up.
upgraded my Prius from Luke. Luke needs to catch up.
Well, he's just a teacher. Just chill out, man.
I get the Prius Prime related to Optimus. It's pretty awesome.
Teachers in North Carolina, they don't they don't
please
shower
just
them
stop.
with gold
Just
like they do
stop.
flower shipping.
They just
managers.
striked. They just made out. They're fine. They're gonna be okay. They're doing good.
They probably just won the lottery.
Probably.
Yep. Probably take it from somebody other.
I
some other
have
pension.
3 shout outs this week. So
Oh, right, we're doing shout outs.
Yeah. So my first one goes to Mr. Toby Thornton. Toby reached out to me the other night randomly, right? It's like midnight his time. He's like, Bobby, got a minute? Can I talk to you? I was like, yeah. So we jump in Skype.
Oh, no, he's not getting divorced too, is he?
No.
Okay.
But he's sending me like clips of stuff that he worked on.
Oh my god.
And it was the one that's actually in Free Flow Friday now. So go check it out. It's him basically talking to himself. But dude, the first one's like
he's losing.
The first one's okay. The second one is hilarious. because the second one he's beatboxing and stuff in it. It is so good. I love it, man. He's a true talent.
I love it. I love it because he's clearly hitting a point in his new fatherhood where like he's discovering that you can actually be yourself again. You just got a little bit more time, like routines start to get a little bit back, and like you start to fall back in place. Like I love seeing that for Toby. That's sweet, man.
The funny thing is though I did go where you went, and I was like, "Is everything okay?"
Yeah.
Like midnight. Why?
It's very late. This is
like,
very
why are you
unusual.
coming to me at midnight? Like, is Karina okay? Like, did you guys get divorced? What's going on? He's like, Karina's right over there. She's sitting. I'm like, okay, so she's right next to you. He's like,
drinking her tea and eating her crumpets.
Yeah. I'm like, it's midnight, dude. I was like, where's the baby? Sleeping, Bobby. What do you think? I'm like, oh, okay, my bad.
Just never know.
You never know.
You're concerned.
What about you? You got a shout out?
Well, yeah, but you keep going. You got 3. You take your sip of your Wawa, whatever.
My second one is Mr. Lincoln Capri.
Oh, snap, really?
Bro.
Oh, my God, dude.
That video.
Which one,
dinosaur.
man? Oh, the dinosaur is so funny.
Oh, my God, dude. I watched it on repeat.
Me too.
It's so funny. Well, at first, I didn't see, here's the thing. I couldn't watch it with volume on it when it first happened.
Mm-hmm.
I was on Instagram and it was playing.
Yeah.
And I'm just watching it on repeat.
Okay, so for people who have no idea, because Chelsea shared this video, Chelsea took the kids to Saskatchewan last weekend, and they went to like this natural history museum, whatever. And there's this dinosaur, and he's got some crazy name like Munch Bagunch or something like that. Yeah. Chelsea's seen this a million times before. She knows exactly what's about to happen. Lincoln loves buttons, so she figures why not put this all together? Like it was so predictable. So that's why she was ready with the phone and shooting the video. So Lincoln's going to this museum, and Chelsea's got him in like this tiny little, like cute little blazer, and he's got his jeans. He's got like these Converse sneakers. Like he's a styling dude, man. He's got his perfect hair. And so Chelsea sends him off to go push the button. Like, go push the button. So he pushes it, and like not much happens at first. The dinosaur kind of like looks around, but Lincoln doesn't notice because Lincoln is 2 feet tall, and the dinosaur is a T-Rex. And then all of a sudden, Lincoln notices, and that's just in time for the dinosaur to like look at him, open his mouth, and go, "Roar!" And Lincoln just jumps, like his whole body just like it's like he gets electrocuted, and he scurries away with his tiny little steps, and he squeals like a little girl. Like
the funniest thing.
I watched it over and over. But
he's running like he can't run. He runs like
I know.
He runs like trash. Like his legs are just like zipping back and forth like real quick. He's like waddle and run. Oh, it's so funny, dude. I lost my mind. I was like, this is the greatest thing ever. And then when I actually listened to it with audio and I heard the shriek that he let out, I started laughing even harder.
I know. He didn't even go to Chelsea. He was just running away. He just picked a direction.
Like,
and
he's like, see you later, Mom. You're going to die. I'm out.
I know. Oh, my God. Well, if he even knew, like, he doesn't, like, Chelsea did that to him. He had no idea that that's.
He don't know.
Yeah. I'll tell him later.
One day I'm going to show him.
Yeah, we'll show him.
Look what your mom did to you.
Yeah, and she was ready with the camera. Not only did she do it to you, she was ready.
She was like, I'm going to just destroy this kid's memories for a little bit. Man.
Oh, my God, that's so funny. I'm glad you brought that up. That was funny.
Yeah, good stuff. So what do you got for shout out?
I want to shout out one member of an amazing team that is very welcome over here on the Nintendo family. Her name is Maya Moldenhauer. She's part of the Moldenhauer family, which you may shorten if you remove all the vowels to MDHR. She's part of Studio MDHR, who is bringing Cuphead to the Nintendo Switch.
Out.
Canadian lady. Very, very nice. Very amazing family. Yeah, very, very beautiful family. Seriously. Yeah. Her and her husband, amazing. Her husband especially. Very handsome man. Very handsome man. So shout out to Maya and the team, man. That's very, very sweet.
That's awesome.
I think they're in for a good year. They got some DLC coming for Cuphead. It's going to be amazing on Switch.
I will be as bold as to say that it will sell more on the Switch than it has on Xbox.
It's very possible, man. That's actually not that bold to say.
No, I think there's a lot of. I already pre-ordered it.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, I'm day one. I'm actually gonna. I pre-ordered it physically.
It's excellent.
Pre-ordered it digitally. I'm gonna go buy it physically as well. Because I just want to have it.
It's top tier, man. So good for them. Amazing. And it's going to be like, and it did sell bonkers. I can't remember exactly what the numbers were, but I remember hearing tremendous success stories over there. So yeah, man, they risked everything. It was one of those incredible stories that I hope for like a sequel to Blood, Sweat, and Pixels 2, because that would be amazing to hear all the stuff. But like they put second mortgages on their houses, and like they'd never made a game before. This is their first game.
It's crazy, man. That's crazy.
So
it's
we're
awesome.
lucky to have it on Switch, man. It's very cool.
Oh, dude, it to me it's perfect on the Switch.
Your reaction was amazing too.
Oh, dude,
as you were watching that video, holy crap, that was amazing.
I was hyped, man.
I was just like, what is this?
I know. I was like, what is going on, man? What is this stupid stuff?
I know.
And then all of a sudden, I was like, boom. And I don't know how I avoided spoilers all day.
Yeah, right.
That's the funny thing. Mm-hmm. I just shut social media down.
I'm already getting spoilers for the Avengers movie. Like already, there's things coming out. And it's just
haven't watched anything. I've been zoned out. My final shout out is to my stream team. So, man, the people that have been coming to these streams, Sean, unbelievable.
On fire, dude. It's awesome.
I'm packing 20 into YouTube, tapping off around 10 over on Twitch, and I don't even know what shows up on Twitter. I don't even really pay attention to Twitter. Twitter's more like my, hey, I'm streaming.
Yeah, it's a really good. I'm doing the exact same thing at twitch.tv/Sean Capri.
So good, dude. Joe After Work started doing it. Because it was, he saw what I was doing, and we had a conversation after playing Nintendo this week, and he we had that conversation, and he was just like, I'll give it a shot. I'll see what's happening. And he's been streaming. And what I started doing was rating on YouTube. Yeah. So what I do is I grab a link, drop it, and then tell everybody, let's go. Let's go in and tell them the rating.
That's sweet.
So we've been doing, the past 2 times, I've been trying it out. The past 2 times I did it, I rated Joe both times. So I hit him on Twitch, and then we hit him on YouTube at the same time. And he's like, what is going, like, I mean, he's like, oh my God, we hit on both sides. It's pretty cool. It's pretty awesome. So, yeah, but my thing is for me, these people, man, I don't know what happened. I mean, I kind of have a feeling what happened this week. But this week, things just exploded on my YouTube channel. I did that C&D video.
That was very nice.
Boom. That thing just took off. And then I did the reaction video for Cuphead. Just took off. And then the subs are just taking off as well. And so that culmination of everything. And then what happened was I did the C&D stuff. Then I started live streaming. And all these people started showing up to the streams. C&D himself showed up to the stream the other night.
Get out.
Yeah, he come out. He was hanging out for a few minutes and such. And but it was so cool to like sit. Donald Trump came out last night.
Amazing.
Yeah, it was amazing, man. It was awesome. It was awesome.
Doesn't seem to have anything better to do.
Yeah, well, he said that whatever. So I don't know who the person is, dude. It's hilarious.
Flat out Donald Trump.
It says Donald J. Trump. That's what the name is on YouTube.
That's amazing.
It is so funny, dude. And then shows up in the stream.
What if it's him?
Dude, I know it's not, but it shows up in the Mario Kart playing as Donald Trump. Hilarious.
I love it.
But no, I mean seriously, the support and the love and the people showing up, like seriously, wholeheartedly, and like Rybo, man, I couldn't do this without him. Like everybody, man, all my mods, so super friendly, all coming in there, talking to everybody, keeping the chat going, like, so amazing.
I love it.
So that's all I got.
Nice, dude.
Yeah, anything else, or are you done?
That's it. That's all I got. No.
Okay. So
here we go.
We're going to jump right into it because we're behind the 8 ball already. So if we ran Nintendo,
don't stress.
How would Stadia, right? I spelled.
I know it's so funny. It's a simple word, but I still trip on it. Stadia.
How would Stadia affect us? Would we be worried? How would we adapt? And would we allow it onto the Switch later? Because as of right now, it cannot be on the Switch. Reason being is it's running off of Google Chrome. There is no web browser on the Switch. But in future iterations, does Nintendo bring a web browser in? Mm-hmm. If they do they allow it to come on? So let's start with this. Let's unpack this a little bit. The first thing, Google comes out this week. They announce this thing. Mm-hmm. And I'll be honest with you. I feel like step one is they beat Microsoft to the punch. I feel like this was a very similar direction to where Microsoft planned to go, especially after when you watched the E3 announcement when they launched the Xbox One. That was basically the momentum and the future they were leading, and people didn't want to hear it, and they chopped them off, and then they took a step back and was like, nope, people aren't ready for this just yet. But I feel like that was a trajectory that Microsoft was heading. Could be wrong, but whatever. Well, no, I can't be wrong because Phil Spencer just came out this week and said that Google basically validated their E3 presentation.
Yeah.
I don't know what that means, but it sounds like they're going to kind of lead the same charge. But my question to you is, what did you think about Stadia?
The one thing that first of all, I want to quickly call out everybody who wanted a internet browser on the Switch from day one. Thank God that's not even a thing. Thank God we don't have to broach that topic at this stage, because that'd be real messy. So there's that. About the presentation, I thought that the one thing that I want to call out is that it seemed familiar in a way that is very impressive for Google's first outing. This is their first like game show, like a game presentation about video games. And it was like, it didn't seem that way. It seemed like they'd been doing this for quite some time. Now I think there's quite a bit of translation that comes over the other presentations and press conferences that they do about their products, about like their Pixels and their phones and stuff. Like there's sort of like Steve Jobs basically gave us the new age of press conference now that gets you like, it's about hitting beats, it's about punchy key messages, it's about like launching with what we're going to tell you, telling you the thing, and then at the end wrapping up with, this is what we told you. Like it's a very Steve Jobs type of format now. But at the same time, they had people who we recognize as part of the industry. So I thought from that perspective, it seemed so natural that we forgot to even like question like, Google's into games now. Like it's just sort of like we skipped that part.
Yeah.
The fact that they had Project Stream last fall, I think helped tremendously, so that people are able to speak to this, and they've evangelized a group of gamers who have tried this before. And the last thing that I'll say before just sort of like blowing this wide open is that this thing, aside from the obvious, is that we don't know what games are happening. It is fully featured, man. And for you to be streaming on YouTube, I think it somewhat validates anybody who maybe chose YouTube as the streaming channel of choice, because there's going to be such an influx of attention to the streamers on YouTube. And if creators have been frustrated with anything, I think this is going to be like a weapon in your back pocket, or a tool in your
some
tool
degree.
belt. I think so, man. I think
I feel like there's some misses.
I think if on Twitch, I'm actually more worried than anything. I felt like they spent so much time on YouTube and how this bolsters the YouTube experience.
I wouldn't be surprised if Amazon puts out a gaming console next, honestly, or
Well,
not a gaming console,
but
something. No, I didn't hear that.
I mean, I don't even want to say about rumors. Who cares about rumors? This is true. This stuff is true. But I don't know, man. I feel like this is more of a transformational shift than VR. This has the potential to change how we interact with games. This feels more next gen than anything we've seen in a long, long time. But timing is everything. I think they've got enough money to just stick it out until this actually
That's
lands.
the thing, because I don't feel the timing is right for this. I feel like we're still just maybe 5 years away.
Oh, man. Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, we're close. Don't get me wrong. We're very close. But here's the problem. In the United States, we have this whole net neutrality thing, right? And I feel like that is going to be a hindrance. Mm-hmm. If Comcast just decides they're going to throttle,
I know,
then what happens? You know what I mean? Like, people can say, like, because they didn't really get into the bells and the whistles of what's it going to take to run 4K. You know what I mean? Like, I can run 4K right now because I run 4K for Netflix. Mm-hmm. So I know my internet can handle 4K, but I also know that I have a top tier internet package. Mm-hmm. I went in knowing I needed a top tier internet package to do everything that I do. Yeah. So with that being said, I have questions.
Does it feel inevitable to you though? Like, do you?
No. I absolutely think this is the future.
Yeah.
I absolutely think this is the future.
Yeah.
Once they kind of iron out the kinks, this is the way it's going. There's no doubt in my mind. Mm-hmm. This is, listen, we bring it up all the time. You know what I mean? Like, are you digital or are you physical?
Yeah.
I think they number one, I think everybody was sitting here. Here's the thing. Everybody sat here and was like, oh, Nintendo's dead. Sony's dead. Xbox is dead. These guys are scared. No. Who's scared right now is GameStop. They're the ones that are in trouble. Like, game companies like that are in serious trouble right now. Mm-hmm. Because if that future works, I feel like this thing could turn out to be one of two things. It could either be the next big thing or the Ouya. And what I mean by that is if gamers don't cling to this, it doesn't mean anything. And for me, I look at it and I go, I'm really curious to see what Microsoft does.
That's the thing.
Yeah, and they're touting. That's the other thing. They're touting, oh, we're more powerful than this, we're more powerful than this.
That's BS.
But my thing is this, that's all well and good, but guess what? You're talking, now at this point, you're talking last gen. Because the two big dogs are about to unleash.
Yeah.
And I said during my video, when I talked about it the other day, I said, to me, Nintendo, this doesn't phase Nintendo at all.
Yeah.
In my opinion. Nintendo is going to keep doing their thing. Mm-hmm. They're not going to worry about it. And guess what? They're going to sit here and they got the one thing in their back pocket that nobody has. And that's first-party exclusive games that, I'm sorry, basically all Google has is third-party games right now.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing is if Microsoft comes out and does something very similar, well, then I think nobody buys Google. And I think everybody kind of goes Microsoft or Sony. Sony has first-party games that people love. You know what I mean? Xbox has some first-party stuff, but I think Xbox is kind of in weird territory right now, so I can't really. But I feel like I just feel like there's too many questions.
Yeah.
But I think the future is inevitable, and I think if anybody's going to. The other thing too is the one thing is Google backs out of so much stuff.
Yeah.
If something doesn't take off right away, they just cut ties and run.
Well, if you think about it, like the things that they really gone after and like committed to, sort of were already success when they kind of bought it. Like YouTube, they bought, like they didn't start YouTube, they bought YouTube, and it was like that was the de facto video format. Like what have they?
And you could talk to a bunch of YouTubers that'll tell you that things were a lot better before Google came.
Well, I mean that's arguable. I mean the fact that we can even have YouTube. I mean, there's a whole bunch of benefits that have allowed people to discover YouTube as a content creation platform that maybe they otherwise wouldn't have. There's a lot of stuff to that.
Yeah.
But man, here's the thing that I'll say that I said on the Xbox Drive. That I want to get your thoughts on this as well. For Xbox, I actually think even though they might not have run a public like Project Stream beta allowing everybody to play Assassin's Creed. I thought that was really good for Google. But we know what types of games are tied to Xbox, so there's that going for it, and they are better suited for like this weird like puberty period that we're going through, which is like not everybody is ready for streaming. So you have to have like that's the lesson that they learned at the beginning of the Xbox One is that you have to have this other option for the people who are in the army and they're halfway around the world and they don't have like that. I remember the military being like this huge deal. Like, what are these guys gonna do? They want to play. They want to play games and Don Matrick or whatever.
I mean, seriously, what are you doing? The internet's down.
Well, that's it.
What are you doing? The power's down.
Mm-hmm.
Like right now, if my power goes down, I got my Switch.
Yeah.
I just pull it out of dock and go. You know
what
I mean?
It's like every limitation that we all said about the Switch, plus internet. Plus, you need the internet. Like people were worried about battery life and all these other different things, and it's like all that. Plus, you need a strong internet connection.
Yeah.
And I just don't understand unless like even you and I when we podcast like this, I'm hardwired in. And if I'm not hardwired in, if I'm running off of Wi-Fi, it is absolute trash.
Yeah. I'm hardwired in too.
So they need
when I stream, I have to be hardwired in.
Yeah.
Like I can't Wi-Fi.
Like you're just streaming. You're not even engaging with the game. Like I don't know, man. It's very exciting. I'll say that. It is very exciting. But I was thinking about it in the way of Microsoft and Google now, they're off doing their thing with like online land. Almost in a way, maybe bringing back to the show, maybe doing Nintendo a favor by allowing Nintendo to just like continue to differentiate itself from everybody else. Everybody's off chasing other things, and Nintendo just stays in their lane on home base and just manage to like iterate in ways that consumers seem to be ready for.
I agree. So let's jump into this. First question. How would it affect it? How's Stadia going to affect Nintendo? I don't feel it does.
In the short term, not even a little bit.
Yeah. I think long run, absolutely it does. Because Nintendo is always last to the race. But this friendship, partnership kind of thing that's going on with Microsoft, Microsoft picks them up and goes, okay, you got to do this, this, and this. You know? So it could be something there. Would we be worried right now? I don't think Nintendo's worried at all right now. Because here's the thing. Nintendo does the same thing they do all the time. What happens? Oh, Stadia's coming out, and that's all anybody talked about. And then Nintendo goes, oh, here's an Indies Direct. And then boom. Everybody's talking Cuphead, talking about the Zelda thing.
Amazing?
Like, nobody even talked about Stadia the next day. It was done. And then Sony announces their thing, and now it's back to Nintendo again because they're all going, hey, they copied Nintendo's
What
Direct.
A terrible name, too. You guys PlayStation's been thinking about this. That's brutal. It's so boring. It's so, like, government. Ugh. Good job, whatever. Sony. You've been taking years to copy this thing, and that's what you come up with?
It's the same thing they did when they had that All-Stars, that fighting game.
Or copied the Wii remote, and you got these stupid glowing balls on everything. Like, come on, man.
Joseph Moran likes glowing balls.
Greatness is still awaiting.
Yeah, no kidding.
Still.
No kidding. Okay, so now, how would we adapt? And I think this is a major question. Moving forward, as times start to, because as it progresses, you and I both agree this is the future. This is where gaming is going. Because the one thing I took away from watching this is the switch in the future. Like when I watched them just jumping from thing to thing to thing, I got that feeling of watching the Switch reveal for the very first time. That commercial, that trailer, when they were just kind of like, oh, we're going to take it on the go, we're going to do this. And they were just going from like tablet to telephone to little laptop to computer. And it was like, holy cow, man. Yeah. They're just bouncing from place to place to place. So it gave me that very Switch vibe.
Yep.
That being said, I feel like Nintendo is kind of in this situation of they need to adapt. They're going to have to adapt. I think they have 5 years. So sit down, and if it's me, and I think you would probably agree with this, if it's me, I'm going to take the next 5 years to work with Microsoft and go, okay, guys, what's the best course of plan here? Like, how do we get to this next level of gaming and stuff? And let them kind of like, hey, can we rent your servers? Can we do the stuff? Like, basically use them as the backbone. Yeah. You know, to run the servers, to run all the internet stuff and all the infrastructure. And I think if they do that, they're in some pretty good shape.
Look, man, this is the thing. You and I partnered up on this show, I don't know how many years ago. This is impossible to know. We were predestined to show and illustrate what the partnership was eventually going to be. From the moment we started this show, I was the Xbox guy, you're the Nintendo guy, and then years later, this is what's actually going to save the industry. This is a bit of a prophecy I'm going to lay down right now, my friend, because look what's happening. Like Sony, they become all powerful and mighty. They get a little bit, maybe a little cocky. Yeah. They need the power of Microsoft and Nintendo to come together to push those guys away. Now Google's coming around, and it needs the power of these two friends who just unlikely friendships, and they're gonna push those guys away because you're absolutely right, man. Nintendo cannot compete in an online world. They can barely do multiplayer. Let's be honest, and let alone streaming things directly to them. So. I think PlayStation's going to be off on their own figuring out Gaikai, but I think Gaikai is like a 15-year-old technology that just never really made that leap into what it needs to be for the next 15 years.
Yeah.
I could really see...
Do you think Sony's probably the most scared of everybody?
It's possible. I joke about Gaikai. I think that, in a way, Sony was one of the first ones to show that this was the future. This streaming future was a thing. That's the technology that powers PlayStation Now. That's what allows them to... like stream that it's actually a huge library. But I just don't know, like the PlayStation Network is such a joke. It's always been a joke. It's like at its core, it was never built on a good architecture. Not like it wasn't built by masterminds like at Microsoft or the masterminds like at Google. So I feel like it's been limited, just like we couldn't change our names. The technology's never been able to scale to what it needs to be, and it should have done that by now.
Yeah.
So I think
I think they never. I don't think they were planning the future when they did it. Like when Microsoft built it, they were going like, okay, in 10, 15 years, this is where we're going to be. This is where we're going to be. Like they have that background. You know, it's the thing that Nintendo runs into a lot of times too. Is like that's not their bread and butter. That's not where they are. So when you're, when you look at Sony, that's at that time was strictly tech. That's all they did was tech. They didn't know like internet and software and infrastructure and all that. So I think they built the best for what they could do at the time, not thinking that like this is going to have to go from console to console to console to console. I think they were like, hey, we're going to do something for this console, and then when we get to the next one, we'll do something else. And I don't think they realized until it was too late that like you can't do this.
So you know what I think the future of Switch is at this point, and I'm pretty convinced when I say this, and it might be a couple of years. I'm pretty convinced though. The Vita was ahead of its time with the 3G connection. I think when 5G makes a thing, and as these parts become a little bit cheaper, and as it, I think there will be a melding of Switch as a gaming console and a cell phone.
Absolutely.
I think the rumors are true. I think that could be a thing, and it's a cell phone second. It's a gaming internet device that maybe they can tack on other things, but you buy it to play games.
I think people are confusing the two. I don't believe they're going to do cell phone in terms of making phone calls. I think it's going to be basically to tap into 5G device or whatever to be able to allow people to play internet gaming with the Switch.
You have your Spotify app on there. You get your iTunes
you'll have that
or whatever
type of stuff. Yeah, you might be able to get like Skype or Discord or something like that running through it, and that might be viewed as the telephone.
That'd be so
side
interesting.
Of things.
That's such a hard industry to break into, but gaming is so huge that I'm like, maybe if that's why I kind of specified that if you start with the gaming device, gaming is the biggest entertainment industry on the planet. That might be a way that maybe that's why Microsoft failed with the phones. Like, it's just I can't see, just like gaming, you had Microsoft, Nintendo, Sony for the longest time. Now Google's making it. There's a fourth player. Phones, it's Apple and essentially Android.
And they have a relationship. And they have a relationship with Apple. So I feel like if they were serious about the phones, then go to Apple.
Well, again, maybe Apple's on the decline as well. Maybe they need a little something.
They've had that partnership. You know what? There was a rumor not that long ago that Apple was looking at Nintendo to buy. But I don't know that would actually come to fruition. But man, they could afford them because they were saying that Apple had like a couple, like $30 billion to blow or something like that. Like just cash that they were looking to invest. That's insane. It might have even been more than that.
When they're building cars, like that's the thing. They're just getting all over the place. I know.
They're a little out of the way. And then the final thing is, so if with the future iterations, do we allow Stadia on the Switch or do we block it?
I think we block it, man. I think the partnership with Microsoft is what you stick with.
Yeah.
I think there seems to be more to be gained, and it seems like it's not out of fear. It seems like this has been premeditated. And I think Nintendo fans are wanting the things that Microsoft has to offer, whereas I think Google just seems to want to take over.
Yeah. Well, you also have to remember, too, there is a relationship between Nintendo and Google as well because of the YouTube side of things.
That doesn't sound like very good. What kind of, it's not a very good relationship.
No, there was a very tight relationship for a while there. Like when Nintendo was starting that whole creators program and stuff, that was all with Google. They worked hand in hand with them to go, okay, what's the typical networking? How does it work?
I see what you mean.
So there is
work together for things that Nintendo wanted. Yes. It just wasn't very good for us. Like nobody on the other side liked it.
Exactly. But I mean, they do have some type of relationship. So it's kind of makes me curious. But I feel like they have more to gain with the Microsoft than they do with Google.
Yeah.
We'll see. So
I can't wait for E3. What if Google goes to E3?
Dude, E3 is going to be crazy.
This feels amazing right now.
I'll be honest with you. I think Google has to be at E3.
I agree.
I feel like they have to show up and they have to start answering questions of like pricing and how's it going to work. I think it's service-based is honestly how I think. I think it's going to be a service like Netflix and all that stuff. And they're saying it's going to be out this year. That's crazy.
I just think that it would be, if we ran Google, we would be at E3. And it's such an easy way to go, well, Sony's out. The new trio is Nintendo, Google, and Microsoft. And that's like
this might be the year that Sony just regrets making that decision.
Holy crap, man!
If Google moves in there, man, because Microsoft already said we're going big. Nintendo's going to step it up this year. Their booths are always amazing. And
I just think, like, say what you will, and I know a lot of people are saying like that E3 is this ancient artifact that's like clinging on to the past, and it was built out of the retail relationships. But what better way for Google to say like we are here for the gamers and to be for that one thing, the Christmas time for gamers that we've all been loving for years and years, and they're like, we're here too. Yeah. Like they can just instantly separate themselves from PlayStation and the attitude that PlayStation is presenting. Just be there. That's all you got to do. It's not even hard at this stage.
Yeah. No joke.
It's not even hard. It's crazy. What a year. 2019 is bonkers, dude.
It's gonna be, dude. This is just nuts.
I get chills thinking about it. It really is.
It's gamer's paradise, man.
We have lots to talk about.
Yeah.
And we have a podcast to start pretty soon. If we ran Google, if we ran Stadia,
we're not doing
I don't want to do that. I don't want to. That'll be Chris Berto and Mitch Power, maybe.
Probably. Second topic we have here. If we ran Nintendo, with Microsoft bringing Cuphead to Switch, what game makes sense to come next? Would we send Nintendo games to Xbox? So, first thing I want to do is it's kind of lay this down, because I got to a little bit of a spat today in the Nintendo Universe Facebook group. Someone was telling me that I don't know what I'm talking about. Somebody was saying that this was not Microsoft's decision, that it was the game developer's decision. Make no bones about it.
Yeah, that's not true.
Microsoft owns the rights to this game.
Yeah.
They don't own the IP. Mm-hmm. They don't own the Cuphead name. They don't own none of it, but they own this game. This is no different than Bayonetta 2 going someplace else. It don't happen unless Nintendo gives the okay. So stop the nonsense right off Jump Street. Don't come at me telling me that, like I don't know what I'm talking about, blah, 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 whatever. This is because if this could go anywhere because of the developer, then this would have been on PlayStation and Nintendo a year ago. Not, you know what I mean? Like,
I'll send you a link to this tweet to help you with anybody who's fighting you. Studio MDHR on March 20th tweeted, "Golly, we're just floored by the reaction to our big announcements today. A special thanks to the wonderful teams at Xbox and ID at Xbox for helping make this happen." They specifically called out the Xbox teams because they made that, otherwise it doesn't happen.
And I said this to the guy, during the Nindies thing, Nintendo said, thanks to our friends at Xbox.
Exactly.
Like,
everybody's saying it. It's clear as day.
Yeah, it's clear as day. But people are just whatever, especially on Facebook. They're just a bunch of tool bags.
Tool bags is a great word.
It's the truth. So, okay, so the thing is I'm not saying Cuphead. When I say this, they're bringing Cuphead, I just mean this game, whatever. And I feel like Microsoft helped bring this game. But what's the future? Mm-hmm. To you, Sean, when I say to you, what's the next game Microsoft brings to Switch? What's the first game that pops into your head?
Probably the first for you as well. It's Ori and the Blind Forest.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Without a doubt.
It would be just like Cuphead, just like you said. It'd probably sell more. Both these games are masterpieces. They are some of the best games available in this generation, period. And it sucks because I love it because I get them on my Xbox and it helps me validate the purchase for whatever on that side of things. But there's still a lot of stigma attached to Xbox, and unfortunately it just latches onto some of these games, and even though you got a great Metacritic score and all these things, it just doesn't seem to matter, doesn't seem to push through. So what I loved, it's going to have the same thing that happened with Fortnite. I feel like when Fortnite jumped over, everybody's played it, but now it's on Switch. It's like, hooray, this is a brand new game for whatever reason. I think Ori is a no-brainer. I was confused on the Xbox Drive earlier this week. I couldn't remember if Moon Studios was a first-party studio, and they're not. There is a second-party arrangement, but it's a publishing arrangement that Microsoft could literally just take the same contract, find and replace Cuphead for Ori, and just make it work there. But I don't know if you had anything else in mind for the same topic.
I feel like it's real simple for me. I feel like Ori's the first one, right? The second one is Rare Replay.
Yeah.
I feel like that's the dead one. And then the third one, because I feel like it's a line of stuff. I feel like there's going to be a lineup of stuff coming over. Sea of Thieves.
Okay, so we need to draw a bit of a line here. So Ori, there's a difference. And with Cuphead, there's a difference as well. Studio MDHR, Moon Studios, independent of Microsoft. They are not owned by Microsoft. Rare, so Rare Replay, and then for Sea of Thieves, owned by Microsoft.
Yeah.
So might be, I don't know if we're still talking about the same thing. I agree that those are things that should and would feel right at home on a Switch.
Yeah.
But I don't think it follows the exact same logic that we've seen so far from Microsoft. But we'll see.
Well, because Hellblade's coming as well.
But okay, but that started as a PlayStation game that eventually went cross-platform, so it's a little bit different. But you're right.
But the thing of it is when it was announced to come to Switch, they own Ninja Theory.
Right.
So it wasn't like that was announced and then it wasn't okay. It wasn't like it wasn't even like Minecraft. It was like Minecraft. It wasn't like Minecraft where Minecraft basically, or was it Y2J or YG, whatever it is, that studio that does Minecraft. It wasn't like they announced, hey, this is coming to Vita, and then because they announced this is coming to Vita, and then Microsoft bought them. And then it still went to Vita, and then it went to Wii, and then it went to went all over the place. So I feel like it's the same thing, but it's a little different where they never announced like, "Hey, this is coming to Nintendo," and then Minecraft came in and bought Ninja Theory. They announced it after the purchase, which is the truth of the matter. The way I view it is that becomes a Microsoft IP. The minute they buy that studio, everything becomes Microsoft, similar to Rare. And that's why I'm looking at it and I'm going, if Microsoft wants to make money, which they do, I feel like Rare Replay makes 1,000% sense.
Rare Replay, I will definitely agree with that. And the logic again that I would follow there is that most of those games were originally on Nintendo. Yeah. So that actually makes more sense. I think Sea of Thieves is a bit of a stretch, but I could still see it happening. I feel like Sea of Thieves, Nintendo, that's a Nintendo audience for that game.
Well, that's what I'm looking at. When I look at Sea of Thieves, I go one of two things. One, there's the rumor of Game Pass coming.
Yep.
And if that happens, this is a game that's on Game Pass. It makes sense for me to go, okay, hey, man, you want to play Sea of Thieves with your friends? You're because I can see the commercials already, man. Yeah. There you are, Sean, sitting in the living room or wherever. You're playing your Xbox, and your friend, neighbor Matt, comes over and he's got a Switch in his hand. He sits on the couch. He's playing a Switch, and you're playing together.
Yeah,
like it makes sense to me. Total sense. Now, Forza, all that other stuff. That's no way. I mean, that's way off before they get that deep. I think these are all tests. I think if Cuphead sells like wildfire. I think if Ori sells like crazy whenever that gets announced, and then if they go Rare Replay, I think at that point, if all these games start selling like crazy, Phil Spencer's going to get so much pressure from up above to keep going that I think they do just keep going. And I think it's going to be a situation where they're just going to have to keep pushing forward, you know?
There's a, I don't know, do you remember hearing about an Xbox game called Super Lucky's Tale?
Yes. Yes.
I feel like that's a Nintendo-ass game if I ever saw one that's landed on Xbox. The other one that I would think about is Sunset Overdrive. Would be kind of cool. So that was made by Insomniac. They could have the wizards over at, who the heck is it? Panic Button does the amazing work.
Them guys are unbelievable.
That game is great, and it is especially great if you could just like pick it up, wander around this place, because it's just it's such a nonsensical game. It's just fun. Yeah. So I think that would land over on Switch as well, dude. I
think the thing of it is when I look at it, I go, not everything belongs on Switch. I mean, don't get me wrong. You got people that are like, I want Halo, I want this, I want that.
Yeah.
And I think eventually, it gets there, possibly. I think, but all like anything though, depends on the sales. But also, I don't know that a lot of that stuff can run on Switch. Now, the older versions of Halo absolutely can run on Switch. So I could see them maybe doing stuff, especially if Game Pass becomes a thing, if that's legitimate. I could see Microsoft going like, hey, this is a Nintendo Game Pass, and these are the games we're going to push to Nintendo. You know, I could also see, I think I was listening to Unlocked a couple weeks ago when this all kind of first started coming out, and they said that they could see totally Microsoft going, here's Forza, and it may not be the best. It may not look the best. It may not be amazing, but here it is on Switch. And then they could turn around and go, hey, if you want the better, prettier version, buy an Xbox. And you can have – and maybe that's the Trojan horse effect where they put these games out and people fall in love, and then they go. Because I'll be honest with you, Sean, there's been dude, I've been close so many times to just hooking up my Xbox back here and playing Fortnite back here.
Yeah.
Because I want the better, prettier version of it. So I can see Microsoft kind of taking this effect to go, hey, man, we're just going to be like a little Trojan horse thing, throw some stuff out there. So that said, I think those are some games that we think. Realistically, I think Ori's next. You think Ori's next.
For sure. We
just kind of going off in a little tangent there. But I think ultimately, if we ran Nintendo, that would... I know if I ran Nintendo, that would be the game I'd be looking at getting next, acquiring next. Can I tell you one little caveat that I think is hilarious? So, what is it? Ori and the Wisps?
Will and the Wisps.
Will and the Wisps. There's a kid working on that game that actually was making another Metroid remake. It's ASMR or something like that, or AMR, or whatever.
That. We did a show on them a long time ago, like in the early few dozen. It was actually in the title of the show.
Yes. So the funny thing is this kid was making Metroid Samus Returns remake on. He was just doing it on the PC, and he was basically remaking the game, and Nintendo shut him down.
Yep.
And people lost their minds because they were like, "This is nuts!" and why they shut him down? He wasn't charging all this stuff. He actually went to go work on Ori. That whole development thing got him a job.
Heck yeah, man.
On Ori 2. So
what's
kind of neat to think that
Zelda game? What's the Zelda game that's coming out? That indie game that it's Zelda that they
Cadence of Hyrule.
Okay. That is a game that you give to Xbox. That's the trade.
Yeah.
You go Ori, and I know like Zelda is its own thing, and Ori is not Zelda, but it's an indie game. And can you imagine playing an indie game starring Link and Zelda and all these characters, and you're playing on a freaking Xbox?
I'll tell you what,
I would do it. I would do that in a heartbeat.
I posed a question yesterday in a video where I was just like, man, just to think, just to dream. I would love to play Splatoon 2 in 4K.
Right?
I'd love to play Breath of the Wild in 4K. I know it'll never happen. But man, as a fan, I would lose my mind. I would legitimately, I'll be honest with you, as a Nintendo fan, if they announced we're taking Breath of the Wild to Xbox, we're going to put it in 4K, we're going to up-res it all this stuff.
Of course.
I'd be out buying an X tomorrow.
Of course you would. You'd spend extra. You would irrationally spend money on that thing. Because you know what it is? Being a Nintendo fan is like, do you know what tantric is? Like tantric's like the practice of getting yourself right there, but not quite doing it. You know, everybody knows it from American Pie, I think, too.
Yeah, I know.
Okay? That's what being a Nintendo fan is like. You're just like, oh man, can you just think about, I don't want to think about it too much, but just think about it. And then all of a sudden they give you they give you the Switch, and they're like, oh my god, I've never seen Mario Kart in 1080p like this before. This is what Mario looks like in high definition, and you just blow your load everywhere, and it's amazing because you've been waiting 30 years for it.
Yeah. But I think realistically, I think that's a good idea. Like we're going to send something back. I got to. Yeah. But the way that I would get it, I think the idea of an indie game going over with some Zelda, characters in it, which that game looks really good, man.
You know what?
I'll tell you, I was going to go buy the original one. I was going to go buy the original one. Yeah. It doesn't look as good.
Yeah.
Doesn't look as good.
I thought it was a Blossom's Tale thing. Blossom Tales. Blossom?
No.
The new Zelda. I thought that's what I didn't realize. I didn't know what the original game was.
Yeah.
Well, I feel like there's two. What's the? It's like It'll Do. Maybe It'll Do is the other one I was thinking of. It was like It'll Do, and then Blossom Tales were the Zelda games that are out there. Did we send enough over to Xbox? Do you think?
I know what you're gonna send next. Just do it.
No, I don't know.
I was waiting for you to send Kirby.
Oh no. I got in trouble last week for bringing up Kirby too soon.
Well, it's not really too soon. It's
I don't know.
It's whatever.
Yeah.
No, I mean, for me, I think that's probably the ones that I would send for now. Now, I think I would do it as a test to see what sells, and then pretty much start pushing forward from there and seeing what happens, what works, what doesn't work. I hope I mean, I don't know. We'll talk about it later off the air. I got a couple questions. Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, so that is all. Oh. Thank you guys for listening to another episode of If We Ran Nintendo. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please do me a favor. Go rate us on iTunes. Go check us out. Go, man, just share this someplace. Let some people know about us. It really would mean a lot to both Sean and I if we can get things pushing forward and growing dramatically. It'd be awesome. You can follow Sean Capri over on the Twitters, Sean like Connery, Capri like the Pants. Follow me at Nintendo Gurus. That is all. Peace out, Preston.
Bye.